food lovers, and welcome back to Homecooked History, the show where we try to recreate historic recipes in today's casual kitchen. My name is Megan, and I am not a professional chef. I'm actually a professional historian, and this is not a restaurant kitchen, this is my house. This week on Homecooked History, we're going to try to recreate an 1839 recipe for lemon pudding, which made its appearance in Sarah Josepha Hale's The Good Housekeeper, an early American cookbook. So let's get started on this delicious summer treat. Let's see how it goes. The Good Housekeeper was actually fully titled The Good Housekeeper, or The Way to Live Well and to Be Well While We Live, containing directions for choosing and preparing food in regard to health, economy, and taste, which is quite the mouthful. We've taken the liberty of adapting the original recipe to make it a little easier for our contemporary cooks to recreate. In a covered saucepan, you are going to put your lemons in, fill with water until the lemons are covered, and then bring the lemons to a boil until they are really tender. So we're going to get started on that step first. Continue to check the water levels while the water is boiling so that the lemons are continuously covered. Our lemons have been boiling for several minutes, so we're going to check them, and if they're tender, we're going to take them out and rinse them. If they're not, we're going to leave them in for a few more minutes. Oh yeah, those are tender. They are ready to come out. Your lemons are going to be hot. Allow them to cool until they're comfortable to the touch. Take this time to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So what was the United States like at the time that this recipe was popular? Well, in 1840, the population of the United States was just a little bit over 17 million people, and about 69% of the workforce were farmers. So at that point in time, the United States was very much still an agricultural nation, although later on we're going to see the developments of industrialization and global trade change the nature and the landscape of the United States. Recipes for lemon pudding appeared in numerous cookbooks, including some of the most popular cookbooks throughout American history. For instance, the same year that The Good Housekeeper was published, 1839, another cookbook was published called The Kentucky Housewife, which was incredibly popular, and it contained about 1,300 recipes that were compiled by Mrs. Lettice Bryan. A lot of those recipes had Native American origins, African origins, so that really speaks to kind of the diversity of early American foodways. Several decades later, in 1876, there's another cookbook that's published called The Homecooked Tried and True Recipes, and that also contains a recipe for lemon pudding. So we see for many years, from the early to late 1800s, lemon pudding kind of being a staple of desserts for American families and households. So where did lemons come from? We actually haven't been able to confirm the origin of the lemon, although there have been some links between it and northwestern India. We do know that lemons spread to Italy, Iraq, Egypt, and China, and then eventually Arab peoples disseminated lemons widely throughout the Mediterranean between 1000 and 1150 AD. Christopher Columbus carried lemon seeds when he arrived at Hispaniola in 1493, and Spaniards may actually have included lemons in the fruits that they brought with them when they settled St. Augustine. Lemons were grown in California in the years between 1751 to 1768, and they also were reportedly planted in increasing numbers in northeastern Florida in 1839, which is the same year that The Good Housekeeper cookbook was published, and we see the lemon pudding recipe we're making today come out into the American public. So From this history, we can kind of trace the spread of lemons, the growing popularity of that fruit in the United States, and the increasing use of it in American dishes. After your lemons have cooled, you're going to cut them in half. We're going to remove the seeds out of the middle. Once all of the seeds are out, we're going to mash the entire lemon into a fine puree. You can do this by hand if you want to, but I'm actually going to use my food processor. So in a separate bowl, now we're going to cream together our butter and our sugar. After you've creamed the butter and the sugar together, we're going to add the lemon puree to that mix, and we're going to mix it all up again with the blender. Okay, so you're going to take all of your eggs, you're going to add them to the mixture in the bowl, we're going to beat everything together, we're almost done. I am so glad that I don't have to do this by hand. So I'm going to prepare our baking dish now. What you're going to want to do is butter a pie dish. Then you're going to put a crust on top. I'm going to use a pre-made crust just for convenience, but if you want to make a homemade crust, please feel free to do so. Then we're going to put our filling on the inside, and it's going to go in the oven. Lemons were popular not only because of their delicious flavor, but also because they were used for medicinal purposes. So for instance, Englishman James Lind joined the British Royal Navy during the 1730s as a surgeon's mate, and during his service he saw the effects of a disease called scurvy firsthand. Scurvy is a condition caused by a lack of vitamin C, and a diet that doesn't have vitamin C can lead to symptoms like fatigue, joint pain, labored breathing, slow healing wounds, and potentially fatal heart problems. So in order to counteract this disease, which was really harmful to the British Navy, Lind decided to carry out the first controlled clinical trials in medical science history. And after he collected his findings, he published the Treatise of the Scurvy in 1753. And one of the major findings was that lemons, particularly, as well as oranges, could be used to combat scurvy. The year actually after he died in 1795, this became a recognized finding, and the issue of lemon juice became a requirement on British ships. And as a result, Lind is actually considered to be the father of naval medicine. Today, you can see a lemon tree on the official crest of the Institute of Naval Medicine, so that goes to show that lemons haven't just made a mark on American foodways, but they've made a mark globally on things like trade, the military, globalism, medicine, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we've got our pie. It's ready to go into the oven. We're going to bake it at 350 for 35 to 45 minutes. It's time to take our lemon pudding out of the oven, and it smells amazing. I can't wait to try it. So our lemon pudding is out of the oven. It smells great. Can't wait to try it. It does need to cool for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. You can do this on a cutting board or on a rack. Then we're going to drizzle it with a little powdered sugar and dig in. Here we are, the final product. We have our completed lemon pudding, and now it's time for the fun part. We're going to try it. So fingers crossed it tastes as good as it looks and smells. Here we go. That's really interesting. So it's odd because obviously we used whole lemons, and you can taste the peel. So it, like, the consistency and the sweetness is really great, and at first you're like, oh yeah, but then there's this kind of bitterness that happens from the peel, which is odd. I'm having a lot of conflicting. Gosh, it looks so good too. I don't know. Is that odd?
Yeah. Oh. Maybe without the peel next time. It's bitterness on the sides of your tongue. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
There aren't too many disappointments here on Homecooked History, but unfortunately the lemon pudding, which had a lot of promise, a lot of potential, didn't turn out so great. I'm not sure I would totally recommend this one in terms of the recipe as is. There's probably a ton of other variations of recipe where this is delicious, so maybe we'll try again, something different. But we gave it our best shot. We learned a lot along the way, and as always, past or present, everybody's got to eat. Just maybe not this thing. Thanks guys, see you next time.